54 bore H. Holland transitional percussion revolver. There's a large single action 6-shot pistol with an interesting reciprocating gas seal action. As the hammer is cocked, the cylinder pulls away from the barrel to allow clearance for it to rotate. It moves forward upon firing to form a seal with the forcing cone. The gun is nicely made with dovetail sights and finely engraved right down to the screw heads in the cap box. The 6 1/4 inch octagon rifle barrel is marked H. Holland, 9 King Street, Holborn, London. Harris Holland listed himself as a gunmaker at this address beginning in 1848 and moved his business to 98 New Bond Street in the 1860s. Harris Holland is the founder of the famous English gun-making firm Holland & Holland, which is still in business today. I'm going to date this pistol to the 1850s because it is fitted with partitions between the nipples and has a loading lever, 2 additions which had been rendered possible only by the expiration of the Colt patent in 1851. Where English revolvers differ radically from Colt pistols is that they were essentially handmade and not mass-produced like the Colts. Although they were of exceptionally high quality, they are expensive to manufacture and parts would not interchange between pistols. The English gun trade in the 1850s was very specialized, and revolver makers tended to make just revolvers which were sold throughout the trade. If Holland's customers wanted a revolver, he would have one made by a revolver maker, possibly by Price and Cashmore. And when it passed through his shop, he would stamp his trade name on the barrel before delivering it. This revolver appears to be of the Lang or Whitman Daw type, which were thought of in their day as thoroughly dependable arms. This type of weapon would most likely have been purchased by a wealthy gentleman or a serving British officer who had to acquire their own sidearms. When I show this pistol, the first question is always, have you fired it? Well, with a little luck, after today, the answer will be yes. The first problem I encountered was finding a properly fitting percussion cap. I pulled out all the pistol caps I could find and found them to be too long and too large. The CVA brand was the shortest and the smallest, and with a little bit of a pinch, they seemed to seat alright and not fall off the nipple. The face of the cylinder is beveled to mate up with the forcing cone on the barrel when the cylinder moves forward. I have a good selection of 44 caliber lead balls, and the 454 seem to work the best and press fit in past the bevel. There's a phenomenon in percussion revolvers known as chainfire, where more than one chamber goes off at a time with only one lined up with the barrel. It's not good. 2 of the causes of chainfire are poorly fitted caps and poorly fitted balls. For this reason, I decided to put a felt wad between the powder and the ball to try at least to minimize this effect from the front of the cylinder. I decided on 25 grains of black powder as a moderate charge. This is the locking bolt on the Holland. This little guy right here. This piece actually pushes the cylinder forward on firing. It's part of the gas seal action right here. It's connected to the hammer. This is the hand right here on the Holland that advances the cylinder. First thing you need to do to load a percussion revolver is throw in the powder in the chamber. We're going to put a felt wad on top of the powder. Put a 44 caliber round ball on top of the felt wad. Rotate that underneath the rammer. Seat that down, ball down firmly. And the next thing we need to do is put a percussion cap on the nipples. So now we're ready to go out and fire it. Probably the first time this Holland's been fired in 125, 130 years. See what happens. She works. If you look closely, you can see as the revolver is cocked, the cylinder will pull back to allow clearance, and it'll move forward upon firing to form a seal. Quite accurately. Very impressive. Well, I've got them all on the target. Not bad for the first try. I don't advocate shooting these old firearms, but if you're compelled to do so, I would use black powder only or black powder substitute and suggest having it thoroughly checked out by a gunsmith. Considering the lack of proper components, I was still pleased with the initial shooting session. The CVA caps were close, but still a loose fit and required a pinch to remain seated. I did not achieve 100% reliable ignition. Using a felt wad between the powder and the ball did not work well with the reciprocating action of the Holland. Often, the wad would become pinched between the cylinder and the barrel and jam the gun. Shooting the Holland offhand at a target 20 yards away, I managed to get all the shots on paper. As a marksmanship disclaimer, I had some difficulty with the odd ergonomics and the fine sights of the Holland. I think next time I'll be more comfortable with it and will shoot from a rest to better assess its accuracy potential. All in all, this was a good experience. I learned more about the Holland in the past few days than all the years that I've owned it. I couldn't help thinking about the last person who fired this weapon. I could not imagine what his life must have been like.